Get started now. We had technical difficulty. Ask for a thumbs up if anyone can hear me. Director, okay, good to go. All right, thank you for your patience. Sorry about that. It's just another WebEx meeting, online meeting that we've experienced over the last several years where we get to enjoy some technical difficulties to start things off. But let's get started. My name is Erick Thompson. I'm an information officer with the RDOS Emergency Operations Center, and that is the Regional District of Okanagan, Similkameen. This is the RDOS EOC video update for the Crater Creek wildfire. That's K52125, and this is Wednesday, August 16th. We're recording just after 2 o'clock Pacific time. The RDOS is within the traditional territory of the Syilx people in the Okanagan Nation, and the RDOS is committed to working with the Indigenous peoples of this region. In just a moment, we'll hear from BC Wildfire Service on the Crater Creek wildfire. We'll have the latest on evacuation alerts and orders. Brittany Seibert, the RDOS Emergency Services Manager, will have an update on the evacuation of people from Cathedral Lakes Lodge and any other updates she has with her. And we'll also hear from Director Tim Roberts. He is the Area Director for Area G. LSIB Lower Similkameen Indian Band Chief Keith Crow is also on the call, and Mark Pendergraft, the RDOS Chair, also the Director for Electoral Area A. Just a quick recap. An evacuation order remains in place for 13 properties in electoral areas B and G. The order covers the area along the Ashnola River and Ewart Creek, including Cathedral Provincial Park, Cathedral Lakes Lodge, and the Snowy Mountain Protected Area. There is also an evacuation alert in place for 74 properties along Ashnola Road, River Road, and Highway 3 near the Red Bridge area west of the village of Keremeos. An ESS, Emergency Support Services Reception Center, has been activated at Keremeos Victory Hall. That's at 427 7th Avenue in Keremeos. For ESS support and information, you can call 250-486-1890. But if you're looking for any other information, including information about evacuees, please call the RDOS Emergency Operations Center at 250-490-4225. One other quick mention, Animal Lifeline Emergency Response Team Alert has been very helpful throughout all of the wildfires in this region over the past several years, and this is no different. If you were looking for support, 250-809-7152. Please follow all official sources if you're looking for any information about this or any other wildfire or emergency, and that includes bcwildfire.ca. Let's go to Dale Bojahra. He is the Regional Wildfire Coordination Officer with the BC Wildfire Service, and we'll get started with a quick update, and we'll go to a map in just a moment. But Dale, first of all, what can you tell us about the two fires and the fact that we've now got one name because they've merged? Can you give us details on that?
Yeah, you bet. So again, my name is Dale Bojahra. I'm the Regional Wildfire Coordination Officer for the Keremeos Fire Center. Sorry about that. So yesterday afternoon, folks may have been following to date. Up until yesterday afternoon, we had two wildfires in the Ashnola Valley, K52125, the Crater Creek fire, which we're speaking to today, as well as K51680, the Jelanders Creek wildfire, which was, actually, if you don't mind, I'm going to share a screen here if that works for everyone. It might make it a little easier for folks to follow along. So we had a second fire over on the eastern side of the Ashnola Valley as well, the Jelanders Creek fire. Yesterday afternoon, we experienced a pretty substantial increase in wind speed in the area, and as such, a pretty dramatic increase in fire behavior. And so what we saw at that time was both of these fires really starting to move aggressively, and there was spread both between the two incidents, so they did connect, and that's why we've seen one of those disappear. The K51680 Jelanders Creek fire has been absorbed by the Crater Creek fire, and you'll see this yellow polygon here is what's was on our public website. This larger red polygon, we're just waiting for the systems to catch up and display this, but this is our new perimeter of the combined two wildfires, approximately 10,000 hectares. So you know, when we started the day yesterday, I think we were about close to 700 on Crater Creek and 400 and change across the valley, and now we have 10,000 hectares. So roughly 10 times the size of the number of hectares on the landscape than we started the day with yesterday. We had fire on both sides of the Ashnola Forest Service Road, certainly from 0 to 6 kilometer. We had fire on both sides of the road. We definitely had a little bit of rock fall in there as well. So as the fire was expanding, we did make some recommendations with regards to alerts and orders to the local government, which I'm sure they'll speak to later. And our focus was primarily on the northern flank of the fire, trying to limit spread into the community, as well as working with BC Parks for the vulnerabilities moving further south into the Cathedral Park area as well. We had a number of crews that did stay on the incident through the night with some excellent support from our structural partners across the valley. And I won't name them all, but a number of our local departments responded in support to protect structures in the area. Today, we have 8 wildfire personnel down on the scene, and again, supported by a number of structural resources of various types, as well as some heavy equipment working to put in some dozer guard where applicable, and a grader as well, as we've been trying to clean up that road a little bit in conjunction with the local government to assist with some of their activities. Moving forward, we do have some weather ahead of us, especially looking into tomorrow. We are expecting some increased winds, so we're certainly having a close eye on that. And so in the interim, we'll continue to take action along the northern flanks, again, with a focus on protecting life and property in those areas. I'll leave my update there for now. Thank you.
Dale, thank you very much. That's an excellent update. I appreciate the details that you provided, and we'll open it up to the media in just a moment because I'm sure they have many questions. I want to mention here in the RDOS boardroom beside me, I mentioned Brittany Seibert. She is the Manager of Emergency Services for the RDOS. She'll have an update on this evacuation operation that took place earlier today to get people out of the Cathedral Provincial Park area. And also with me is Dawn Russell. Dawn is serving as Indigenous Liaison, which is a vital role that has really come into play the last couple of years, ensuring that any of these operations that's ongoing from the local government's perspective has connections to our Indigenous communities in the region, the communities in the region who are also partners in all of this. And Dawn provides that connection. So Dawn, thank you, and valuable information as well to make sure that we're getting it right. Let's go to the media now. Brennan Phillips has a question for Dale. Go ahead, Brennan. Brennan, we'll try one quick time and then we'll have to move on. Question for Dale. I think he's still muted. It's keeping with the theme. Let's go to Joe Fries. We'll come back to you, Brennan. Joe Fries from the Penticton Herald, you've got a question and a hand up.
Yes, 2 questions for Dale. One about the upcoming weather, but first, these fires were burning for like a month or so when the modified response, and people will inevitably say, why didn't you guys put them out? So can you answer that question, please? Yeah,
and it's an excellent question. These fires were detected on July 22nd. They were 2 lightning fires in fairly remote, inaccessible areas. One thing I might just share up here again, my screen, maybe add a little context to the terrain we're looking at in this area here. So one of the issues in this particular area is the terrain we're dealing with. So try to add some perspective here as we get in. So certainly over here in Jalander, some very steep, inaccessible ground, as well on the western side. A good portion of this incident had some steep ground as well. We did have a number of works taking place along the Crater Forest Service Road, trying to enforce some fire guard there in anticipation or trying to prevent movement across the draw and further towards Highway 3. On the other side, we have installed the helipad and done some preparatory work. On this particular side, Again, a modified response. There's a number of older burns in this area as well that we expect this fire to burn into and have a lot less intensity. Another piece of the puzzle here, as folks do know, we're very busy within the province of British Columbia with wildfires. And as such, we do have to prioritize life and property above remote forest values. And so certainly focus on putting our resources into those incidents where, again, they're focused on protecting those structures. I do understand that it's easy for folks to look at these and say, you know, we get these when they're small, but these were not the only two fires in the fire zone or the fire center at that time. And so we had to prioritize as such, and also we have to be mindful of our crew safety.
Follow up, Joe Fries.
Sure. Thank you. Just totally, well, unrelated, Dale, I've been following the weather forecasts, and I heard, I can't remember which one it was, but a forecaster said that cold front is going to come into northwest BC tonight and exit through southwest BC tomorrow night. And I'm wondering if you can pinpoint what time, if you have an expectation, what time it'll roll through our region, if you're able to pinpoint it that precisely at all, and how you prepare.
Sure. Well, I certainly haven't pinpointed it, but we have a close relationship with our meteorologists, and we're looking at daily and sometimes multiple times daily weather updates from those experts in the field. At this point, I believe we're looking at 1700 tomorrow approximately, but I would really caution the timing of that. Weather systems can get hung up on pieces of topography, that sort of thing. So the timing is all relative, and then we work with our weather folks as we get closer to the event. They'll have a better ability to put a finer point on the timing and location and the impacts we will feel for that. But certainly we've been watching that forecast for a number of days. Absolutely concerning. High winds are a huge driver of wildfire. 13 kilometers an hour wind speed will double the rate of spread of a wildfire. So wind is incredibly impactful on wildfires, especially when it aligns with the slope. So absolutely, we're watching that very closely tomorrow afternoon. And then even going into the evening, we do have some potential for lightning as well, which of course offers new ignition sources for us too, and possibility of new starts.
Thank you very much, Joe. And we had a question that came in through the chat from Brennan Phillips, and he was asking about any structures damaged and or lost, and the RDOS at this time is unable to confirm any information on structures. Another question from Brennan is about what happened last night, so that would have been August 15th, Tuesday, with the standard evacuation orders and alerts. There was the shelter-in-place order, and for that I'm going to ask Brittany Seibert, who is the Manager of Emergency Services here at the RDOS, if she can speak to that. And Dale, you're welcome to jump in on that as well, but it was certainly a very fast-moving situation, and I'm hoping you can speak to that a little bit, Brittany, and then we'll get to Chief Keith Crow from Lower Similkameen Indian Band as well.
Yeah, thanks, Eric. So yeah, as Eric mentioned, my name is Brittany Seibert. I am the emergency manager for the regional district. Yeah, so you're correct. Shelter in place is definitely a more unique situation, especially regarding wildfires. Our recommendation is almost always going to be that you leave the area. In this instance, it was a bit of a special situation in which the orders came in near nightfall. There was low visibility. There was potential danger to the road. We did find out later that there was confirmed debris on the road and was impassable, as well as the fire behavior that was being witnessed just meant that it was unsafe for people to travel through the routes to safely evacuate. So the best course of action last night was to have all those who were camping that in the Cathedral Park area to congregate near the lodge. So there was a great amount of effort from the lodge, BC Wildfire, RCMP, all working together, BC Parks, to try and notify everyone that they could to congregate there and help people move to the lodge so that they could be organized into an effective evacuation, which occurred today. Dale, I don't know if there's anything you would like to add to that.
Yeah, I think that was very well put. we made our recommendations for the order. As we work with the local government, we do our very best to keep them informed on fire behavior and the conditions. And as Brittany mentioned, it was identified at that point, folks were able to look at leaving the site through the Ashenola River FSR there. It became apparent that we had fire on both sides of the road, and we were also getting reports of rockfall. And so in order to, so based on that assessment, the movement of the fire, the location of the lodge, our recommendation to the local government in BC Parks was that the safest place for those folks would be to shelter at the lodge rather than attempting to transit the Ashenola River Road out to Highway 3.
Thank you, Dale, and we'll ask Brittany to come back and join us a bit more, talk a bit more about what happened today. A successful outcome as far as evacuating people from Cathedral Lakes Lodge who had gathered there from the park and also along Ashenola Road.
Yeah, so this morning we started conversations quite early between all of the different partners, so BC Wildfire, BC Parks, RCMP, Search and Rescue, as well as the regional district. So there was a consolidated effort to clear the road. So we had BC Wildfire was able to get some equipment in to reestablish a safe route out from through the Ashenola River Road, and BC Parks was able to be flipped in to the Cathedral Lodge and begin to coordinate with the public and the staff at the lodge to get everyone back down to the base camp. Once we knew the road was clear, they were able to convoy everybody out where RCMP was able to meet them at the checkpoint and ensure we had everyone accounted for. So it was a really great effort by everyone. It was successful. We had confirmation at 1300 hours, so 1 p.m. o'clock today, that the convoy had successfully left the area. And as far as we have been notified, everyone has been cleared from the Cathedral Lakes area.
And there's a hiker in the area, is that right?
Yes, so we were also notified late last night of one hiker that was located at 9 kilometers on the Ewart Creek Trail. They had been in contact with the RCMP through their inReach. We had SAR dispatched this morning to have a Class D extraction, so helping them with assistance and getting out. I have yet to receive confirmation that that person has been retrieved. However, I can confirm that SAR was actively working to get them out prior to jumping on this call.
Thank you, Brittany. Let's go to Chief Keith Crow from Lower Similkameen Indian Band. I see he's got his hand up. Chief Crow, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Basically, my question is actually for people on the line. We're seeing a lot of similarities to the 2018 Snowy Mountain fire, where the decision to leave it and let it burn, and then we run into a situation where we're doing evacuation orders and, well, state of emergency evacuation order alerts all within an hour. It drives me, I'm very frustrated with this process about the decision to let things just go on their own. I was just up on site and noticed there's no helicopters again. I was told that there's other emergency fires in BC, which I understand. I don't want to see anyone get hurt or anything like that, but on the other side, I got to speak up for my community and the people in this valley. Of here we are again. We went from 1,000 to 10,000 hectares in one day, so 10 times in a day. I called 2 weeks ago and asked questions about where are we at, what's going on, what's the process, how are decisions being made. We're not being given answers. So now here we are, we evacuated 36 homes. We put the evacuation order in place for 36 homes, roughly about 75 people. We did have some people who chose to stay. Okay. But when are we going to get to the point of we're going to start taking care of these fires and really looking at, and who makes these decisions? I really want to know who made the decision. And
thank you, Chief Crow. Oh, go ahead, sorry.
I'll leave it there.
Dale, I'm going to ask you if you can speak in general terms. I know it's difficult to get into some of the specifics while this incident is still being responded to, but can you give us an overview of some of the challenges you're facing with this particular wildfire?
Yeah, I think I spoke to a few of those points earlier when I introduced spoke to the modified response in regards to these two incidents. I can say that we were working with our contact with Lower Similkameen Indian Band with regards to our response strategy. And by all accounts, my understanding is we did have support for a modified response strategy in this area. Beyond that, though, as mentioned before, there are terrain and safety issues, and there's prioritization with other incidents where we have immediate threats to life and property. With regards to aircraft on the incident today, it's quite difficult in some of this area. I'm sure everyone notices the smoke in the area. I'm actually going to show you a picture from one of our bird dog photos taken earlier today to give an example of what our aircraft we're looking at up there. So you can see off the corner a bit of an aircraft wing here, and this is what they're seeing out their window in a big portion of the valley out there. So very difficult and dangerous to drop in a situation like that. And so we certainly are looking for assessments and abilities where we can use our aircraft. But that being said, there are limitations with the visibility and the safety of those responders. Our focus will be on the northern flank, and we certainly have identified some achievable objectives with aircraft, certainly around the northwest corner, and we're going to be looking for opportunities where we can bring those aircraft in and take action. But we also have to be able to get in and fuel and get those aircraft back and forth in a safe manner, and we do require a certain amount of visibility for that.
Dale, thank you very much. And I know this is a very dynamic situation. We've been hearing about some of the challenges of the crews, and certainly this is a good time to remind people that there are many different crews out there, from structural protection to BC Wildfire Service, who are doing everything they can at this time to try and prevent this fire from causing too much more damage than it already has, or at least mitigate the damage. And certainly I know there is a time after each of these incidents where there is debrief and there is discussion, and certainly with local communities, Indigenous communities, and BC Wildfire Service and the local governments to talk about what happened, how it was executed, and see if there are lessons learned. I don't want to run out of time to bring the media into the conversation and ask some questions, and we've got some elected officials as well, and Director Tim Roberts is one of them. We'll bring him in a moment. He was quite involved in this incident because he had a family member at Cathedral Lakes Lodge, which was certainly a difficult time, but he was able to communicate with them. Carrie Tate has a question here. She'd like to know how many people were evacuated from Cathedral Lakes Lodge. So that would have been earlier today. The number that I have was 71. Would you say that is correct, Brittany?
Yeah, so the last update I had was a number of 80 people that were up at the lodge, in addition to the staff that would have been up there. So we've been working very closely between all of our different partners to coordinate and collaborate on all the information that has been gathered. A lot of locals on site, including those with LSIB, have been really great about notifying us of campers that they knew that were in the area, numbers that they had seen leave the area. So we've done a really thorough job on ensuring where notifications have been placed and where they have been received. Anywhere we were not actually physically able to get to, we have sent patrols, including aerial patrols, to ensure that people have safely been evacuated from the area. And with the convoy, because it was done in such a coordinated manner, we were able to keep a span of control on that, ensuring that as people left out the area, that they were being followed up from behind. So we are still confirming with all of our lists and our names and numbers that we have everyone accounted for, but that has been the highest priority, I think, in the last 24 hours, is ensuring that we have identified who is in the area, have they been notified, and do they have the means for safe evacuation. So we have worked very diligently on that today, and we're feeling quite confident we have managed to identify and notify and get people out.
And to the best of your knowledge, no one has stayed behind at Cathedral Lakes Lodge or that area in the park?
Not that I have been informed on.
Okay. All right, let's go to Robin Crawford. Robin has a question now. Robin, go ahead, please.
Hello, yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, perfect. Sorry, just to clarify, you said 71 people were evacuated, but there were 80 up at the lodge. Can you just clarify how many people were evacuated?
Yeah, so I would actually need to do a full head count on just between last night's orders as well as the evacuees from Cathedral Lakes, but the 80 people was in reference to the amount of people that were identified up at Cathedral Lodge that left in the convoy today.
Okay, and just how are those people doing? Is there any injuries? You know, obviously a very traumatic event for everyone up there. How were the people feeling in that convoy?
Yeah, great question. I personally haven't had the opportunity to chat with those individuals. However, we have been very concerned about the mental and emotional toll this may have taken on people. As far as I'm aware, no physical ailments, but from a mental and emotional standpoint, we have connected with Health Emergency Management of British Columbia to organize and coordinate disaster psychosocial services to be present at Victory Hall in Keremeos for people to connect with so that they may be able to connect with mental health supports depending on how they're feeling after this event.
Okay, thank you very much. And Dale, I know you're very busy with your role as the Regional Wildfire Coordination Officer with BC Wildfire Service. If you have to sign off, please take the opportunity to do so. But if you'd like to stay on the call, you're welcome to do that as well. I wanted to go to Electoral Area G Director Tim Roberts. Tim, it was a harrowing night for you because you had a family member at Cathedral Lakes Lodge and you were able to connect through Messenger, but still some concerns through the night about the safety of the people in that area.
Yeah, thank you. It was actually my daughter who had gone out for the day to meet her friend that works at Cathedral Lodge to go spend a day hiking. They'd gone up for a hike. They were coming back down around 1600, and of course, they'd been noticing the smoke, but the plume had got a lot more aggressive. And as they made it down into the park itself, they didn't. There wasn't a full contingency of some of the staff members there, and so they were getting particular information that was sent up to the hill sporadically through different workers. And there was a little bit of a disjointment in communication because, again, it was right as the EOC was kind of picking up as everything was happening all at once. So, you know, it was all fair game. My daughter did get a hold of me through her friend's messenger, and then through that conversation, we were able to create a direct line with the EOC and try to find and clarify what would be the appropriate phone numbers to call and keep that channel open for the park through the evening. So my daughter stated at that point, you know, again, it was a little bit necessarily scary, but concerning because people really didn't have the right information. And as that clarified, everybody was able to calm down. At all times, they felt safe. They could see that the plume was quite far from them. The wind was not blowing in their direction, so they weren't dealing with a lot of smoke or embers. And so once they've got the communication open with the EOC and issues were being dealt with effectively, they were able to deal with creating a space for those that were camping in the campsite. There were foamies put down in the lodge for people to sleep on the floor. They did a really good job, as this is Cathedral Lakes Lodge, in regards to providing food and looking after those that were staying in the park, but that hadn't been a part of the lodge. And again, that may be some of the information that's confusing around numbers, because you had the amounts of staff, which is around 30. You had the people that were staying at the lodge, which was about 40. And then you had the people that were in the park. And then after midnight, we had a bunch of the people that were caught behind the 9-12 kilometer zone where the fires had joined at the Ashinola, come up the Lakeview Trail Road and come in about 12:30 at night, or 12:30 in the morning, I should say, to be able to hunker down there and again, sheltering in place. And then I talked to my daughter first thing in the morning, and there was an opportunity. Everybody was kind of gathering up and then waiting. And when the forest rangers were flown in, to be able to help with the evacuation. It was about 10 after 10 this morning that my daughter sent me information saying she was going down.
All right, thank you very much. That's Tim Roberts. He's the Electoral Area Director for Electoral Area G, and our chair, the chair of the RDOS, is Mark Pendergraft. Mark, we spoke not that long ago for the Eagle Bluff wildfire, and it's certainly not something, not a time that we look forward to meeting in this way. I know you have an RDOS board meeting tomorrow, but for you as the chair, you're getting these regular updates at all times of the day and night. Certainly challenging for you to be watching what's going on and trying to keep information flowing, and I'm sure you're getting a lot of phone calls as well.
There has been a few, but it's been reasonably good information that I have to pass on. So I thank you guys for the job you're doing.
All right. Well, thank you very much. I want to wrap up. I know everyone's very busy, especially in the Emergency Operations Center and BC Wildfire. Dale, Bojahra, thank you very much for your time and your detailed description of what's going on with this wildfire, which I mentioned is it's a diverse, dynamic situation. I want to wrap up very quickly with you, Brittany. Brittany Seibert is the Emergency Services Manager for the Regional District of Okanagan-Similkameen. We were in the Emergency Operations Center late last night into the morning, and it was at one point there were a lot of questions, not sure what's going on, but today we have a positive outcome where people from the park, the lodge, and along Ashnola Road are now out safe. That can turn sideways at any moment. It can turn the wrong way, and the work of a lot of people behind the scenes made this happen and made this a successful outcome. How are you feeling today about what went on throughout the night?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the best case scenario would have been not us having to go through what we went through last night, but I was really proud of all the relationships that we have built over the years and creating those connections to be able to have those conversations and be able to share that information to figure out what was actually happening, what needed to be done, who could do what, how can we coordinate, how can we decrease duplications and increase efficiency. So that was a really amazing experience to have to go through. And just know that we are continuing to build those good working relationships and being able to provide the residents in the RDOS the best we can through our emergency management program. So
excellent. Well, thank you very much. And Don Russell, I know you just wanted to observe, but if you wanted to jump in at all, when we talk about these relationships and knowing who to pick up, who to call, you're one of the people that we would call to come in and just provide local knowledge. So thank you very much for your help throughout all of this.
It's been my pleasure, and I look forward to continuing to support the region.
All right, we'll wrap it up with a reminder that the ESS, the Emergency Support Services Reception Center, has been activated. It's at Keremeos Victory Hall in Keremeos, 427 7th Avenue. If you have questions about emergency support services, if you're looking for support, the number to call is 250-486-1890. The EOC phone number, the Emergency Operations Center for the RDOS, and by the way, the EOC supports the site, so some of the work behind the scenes to establish the program that helps with evacuees and that type of thing, and supporting the site in other ways, everything from ordering porta potties to barricades, that comes out of the EOC. That number is 250-490-4225. And this is an opportunity to thank everyone in the EOC, people who are spending many hours of their day and nights in that room doing a lot of work behind the scenes. So thanks to them as well. And of course, LSIB has a EOC set up as well, and the whole community has come together to help everyone out who is in need. Alert is the Animal Lifeline Emergency Response Team. If you have if you have animals that need help, livestock, 250-809-7152, 809-7152. And Alert comes into play when people are usually under evacuation alert. It's the time to act then to take care of any of those challenges with animals. Final thought, if you are looking for any information, please remember to go to the official sources. Anytime new information is available and confirmed, it will be posted. If you're not hearing much, that's because there is no new information, but the endeavor is to try and get out even a note that says there's no new information, and I can appreciate how people are always looking for new information. Emergency.rdos RDOS.bc.ca. That's the EOC website, emergency.rdos.bc.ca. Of course, bcwildfire.ca for the latest on the fire itself, on the main fire we've been speaking about here. And also Voyant Alert. If you haven't signed up for Voyant Alert, you can do so through the RDOS. Thank you to both of you. Thank you for everyone joining us online, including our media guests. And we haven't established yet when our next briefing will be. We'll just see what happens over the next while, but we're certainly planning to get another information release out at 4 o'clock, and that is on August 16th when we're recording this. Thank you very much for joining us.